Everyone, first and foremost, let me thank our host for having us here. I'm extremely proud to doing this historic trip to be with you today. Again, I apologize for the delay, but we stopped on our way in front of a mural that depicted the woman's life freedom. We wanted to message back to our fellow communities in Iran that here in Israel, the really people are standing in solidarity.
Wow.
So forgive me for the delay, but it was a necessary message. If I could describe in one word, so far, our trip here for the first time, I can only use one word: inspirational. And being in Jerusalem, in that, truly inspired by the whole history and everything. There's a reason it's been said that blessed are the peacemakers. And the director was talking about this, showing out graphs about nuclear deployments or maritime intervention and all that. I hope that this center will soon be talking about rebuilding Iran, developing water resources, bringing investment in the most afflicted areas, rather than to worry about all that negativity that exists. That's why we are all here and hoping for a future. Now, my philosophy has always been never look back, always look forward. With one exception, we look back not to forget and remember the past. Because without that, we will never know where we're going. And therefore, why should the world be different? Because as it is, it's not the future that our children want to inherit. And we are here today knowing the consequences of not taking action at the most crucial time. This is the moment, one moment in history when the stars have aligned for change, for significant change, for decisive change. And we're in the center of academic studies and research, and there's thinking, and there is pondering, and it could even lead to planning. But at the end of the day, what makes a difference is making a decision, making a choice. And in this case, we have to ask, beyond the obvious commonality of interest that Israelis and Iranians have together as natural partners and allies, for the rest of the world to finally decide which side of history do they want to stand. Do they stand with us, or do they remain silent? Talking about inspiration, Martin Luther King once said, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Having said that, and I would much rather hear your question and answer them than give you a lecture, even though it's a podium. Every time you get behind the podium, you get sort of like excited about talking. I've always been accused that I talk sometimes too much. No. So therefore, I try to be very brief. So what are we talking about? We're talking about every potential to become a reality. We don't need to start from scratch. The Iranian people are the most natural conduit to change. They're your natural army in place. And they have fought the battle completely without any means of support so far. And yet they have sustained the resistance. Imagine what they could do if they had real support. When we hear, and I talk to them all the time, including political prisoners, and they don't say, come and liberate us. They come and say, we'll do the job, but give us internet access. Give us funding so we can organize labor strikes, so we can finally push this regime over the cliff. For that, we need international support and coordination. For that, we need resources. For that, we need all those who understand that right after this regime is gone, we enter a period of transition. We have to think of the immediate future and then the long-term planning. we have to talk about a roadmap of what it would mean and the potential that Iranians, once liberated, will be able to achieve very fast. Because I won't even say year, I won't even say month, I would say every day that goes by, the opportunity cost to Iran is huge. Just on the environmental matter. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to come to Israel, besides the obvious, was also knowing that the best experts and scientists in the field that can deal with our water crisis, which is not just an Iranian problem, it's a regional problem. But imagine if you don't address that. Our whole ecosystem depends on that. If you want to develop tourism tomorrow as a major industry, where are the people going to come and watch? Dried rivers in Isfahan? Dried lakes in Urumia? Gone marshlands in the south or the north? Of course not. That's part of the whole perspective of how meaningful it could be, of bringing more stability and more investment, more development, as opposed to more instability.